Hey everyone, welcome to the Maria Fontana Show. Thanks for listening, guys. So today I have a dear friend of mine that I actually met online, and we started supporting each other because her message and her brilliance resonated with me. And I loved all the things that she would share on social media. So I bought her book, and I want to introduce you to my dear friend, Melissa Houston. Hi, Melissa.
Hi, Maria. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Oh, thank you. I'm so excited to have you. So tell everybody a little bit about your brilliance because it's your brilliance is what every single entrepreneur friggin' needs. That is for sure.
Thank you. I appreciate that. So, I am a CPA by trade. I've got over 20 years of experience as a CPA, but don't let that scare you because I'm not your typical CPA where, I'm all buttoned up and, this is the way it's going to be and I'm very rigid. No, I'm here to help entrepreneurs understand how to make more money in their business so that they can increase their personal wealth as well. So I am all for putting more wealth into the hands of women.
I love that. I love that. So, before the show, we were talking about, how a lot of beauty and wellness small business owners are, putting their attention on the wrong topics. I'd like to talk about that a little bit. So, I was, as you know, a 38-year salon owner, multiple brick and mortars, who's then turned coaching consultant. And I know myself from the brick and mortar, I had to always really reassess every quarter, like what am I doing, and get my brain out of the weeds and back to the numbers. So what are some things you've seen in the beauty and wellness space, and how can some advice on how everyone, regardless of where they're in their beauty or wellness business, what do they need to do to really maximize making more money? What are some of the easiest things right off the bat that you know that they can do immediately to switch?
Yeah, it's such a good question. And first and foremost, being in the beauty and wellness industry right now it's phenomenal. Like there's so much potential to make a lot of money in that area of your business. And what I've noticed with the clients that I've worked with one-on-one is that there's a lot of business owners who are spending time on offering the services that their clients really appreciate. However, they're not looking at the profitability of that service, right? So I'll give an example where I was working with a woman who owned like an eyebrow studio, and she was spending a lot of her time working on the eyebrows. And when she started working with me, she's like, I know I'm bringing in a ton of money, but it just keeps going out as quickly as it's coming in. So we took the time and looked at her business. Like, this is what I call looking under the hood of the business, right? Seeing how she's operating her business, what offers she's offering out there, how much she's pricing it, how much profit there is in each offer, and where she's spending her time. And it didn't take long for her to realize that for offering these eyebrow services, she could easily have trained a junior esthetician to do that for her. And she'd take her time and focus on the higher producing or income producing offers. And I cannot remember, sorry, I'm not a beauty
That's
specialist.
okay.
I can't remember the name of the service, but she could charge $500 an hour for the service
Mm-hmm,
as opposed to the low profit of doing eyebrows,
mm-hmm,
and
mm-hmm,
spend her focus on offering that service. And it turned out that that was what she enjoyed doing the most. And
mm-hmm.
sending her clients for, the less profitable services to junior estheticians. So when she
Mm-hmm.
put that plan into place, that transformed her business, right? Like
Wow.
it was like she was looking at barely breaking even. And now I think she's at a 50% net profit margin, which is exceptional.
Nice.
And
That's
she's bringing
great.
in so much more revenue. Sorry?
That's great.
It is great. It's making those little changes where she was going from a state of like, I'm so panicked, I feel
Mm,
stressed all the time, I don't feel good about my business because I feel like I'm working so hard and I've got nothing to show for it, to
mhm.
totally turning it around where she's got this flow of money coming in. She's got all her expenses paid and she's got a big fat bank account.
Oh my God, I love that. So I get asked this question a lot when I used to coach a lot of salon owners. I'd love to hear your take on it because it's your expertise. What's the easiest formula for someone to figure out their profit? Like, people always don't know what to charge. I know in this industry, it's always like they don't know how to create their pricing. They don't know exactly what their profit is. Do you have like a little formula that you go by, or is it overly
I
complicated? What are your
do.
thoughts?
Absolutely. So when I work with businesses, first thing we do is we look at the price, right? Let's look at what you're pricing your products and services at and
Hmm.
see if it's profitable. So when you're looking at your price, you have to take into account how much it costs to deliver this product and what your competitors are charging so that like
Oh,
pricing is never really that straightforward, right?
right, right.
There's a lot of psychology around pricing,
Hmm.
and sometimes there's a little bit of experimentation
Hmm.
because ultimately you can only charge what your clients are willing to pay. So
Hmm.
if you find that your competitors are charging, let's just say, I don't know, $20 for eyebrow services. I
Hmm.
don't even know if that's the going rate, but let's just say,
Hmm.
and it costs you $10 to do that service. Like you have to look
Uh-huh.
at the labor, you have to look at the cost of materials that go into it.
Hmm.
And if your competitors are charging around the same, you can either choose to price a little bit higher to get that extra profit coming in
Hmm.
and positioning yourself as a premium service, right?
Hmm.
So it's all going to depend on your positioning in the market, what your
Hmm.
competitors are charging, and how much it's going to cost you. But you want to make sure that that service is profitable. And
Right.
you want to make sure that you're being competitive in your industry for the gross profit. I mean, this all sounds confusing because there's a lot of jargon I'm using that, the average business owner really isn't aware of.
Hmm.
But knowing that formula and knowing how to price, then you look at, okay, well, I've got my pricing down. So how much am I selling? You have to look at your
Hmm.
sales volume and your expenses. So not only are you looking at the expenses that go directly into offering that service, but you have to look at all your overhead expenses of a salon. How
Right.
much does it cost for rent, your utilities, your,
Hmm.
all sorts of different things. So you create that business financial plan, and it sounds really overwhelming. And usually I work one-on-one with clients for a couple of
Hmm.
hours. We hammer it out, and you've got that business financial plan for the year, and you understand how much money you're making in revenue, how much you need to sell to break even, how much you need to sell to hit your profit margins that you want to target,
Hmm.
and what your plan is for the year, so you have a really good understanding of how much money you can make. And then you monitor that, like your results each and every month against what you planned throughout the year to make sure that you're on track to meeting those goals.
I love that. So do you feel, I know myself, I always personally would look at my numbers monthly, and then every quarter I would do a deep dive. Like I would dig in and make sure and then check like if there's any expenses I can cut back. Like what's your recommendation? What should people be doing? And yeah, they need to know their numbers, right? So important.
Yeah, that's such a good question. I love that you were doing that. um I am a big advocate for getting more money in the hands of women. So I
Mhm.
don't just look at the expenses and where you can cut to make more money, because so many
Right.
people do that. I look at where you can make more money. What's the easiest way to bring in more money and fatten up your profit margins? That's not going to affect your overall objective. Like if you want to work less in your business and make more money, you got
Mhm.
to look at, like, the example that I gave you with my brow bar client, right?
Mhm.
It's like when you start focusing on the activities that make you more money, that's where you're going to see the biggest difference.
Yeah. Yeah, that's so
So
that's so powerful. So they should be looking at also, but keeping track of their numbers, really like being deep diving
absolutely.
into it, not be. I know a lot of like colleagues of mine, and we're guilty. I speak openly. Everyone's guilty, not everyone, but a lot of us are guilty of ignoring the numbers, of like playing like
Yeah.
blind eye, like being afraid to actually sit down and look at what the heck's going on, right? And I
Yeah.
think that I learned that early in my career. That's detrimental because if you don't know the math, if you don't do the math, you're going to screw up no matter
Yeah.
how hard you work, right?
Yeah. It's so common for business owners to be afraid of numbers. And I hear that from my clients all the time. They're like, I'm so ashamed. I should know better. I opened my business and I feel foolish because I didn't know my numbers. All sorts of reasons why people fear it. A lot of people love sweeping it under the rug and hoping that everything's going to work out. So I don't judge. Like it is what it is. And we all have money stories. We carry money stories with us. And I feel it's really important to look at your money mindset as a business owner, because your money mindset can either make or break you in your business. So being sure that you are being familiar with your money story and knowing how sometimes we self-sabotage
Mhm.
and we fear those numbers, and taking that and turning it into something positive, right? Like getting the guidance and support you need to start learning this stuff. And it's not your fault if you don't know it, because most people, Maria, I'm sure you see it online all the time, just as much as I do.
Oh,
They're talking about, you need more money, just put out a cash infusion offer, get more money coming in, just make a new offer, whatever. And that may work for a week or two, but it's a band-aid solution, right? Because you're going to end up in the
yeah,
same spot where you're stuck in the same cycle. Or they're focusing on the shiny objects. It's like, I've got the newest and greatest way you can make more money in your business, and all sorts of nonsense like that. It's all about, what's going on in marketing and sales and all that stuff. And that's really valuable. But when you don't know your numbers, you don't know what the problem is in your business, because your numbers are
yeah,
telling you a story and your numbers don't lie. Right.
yeah.
So whether it's a revenue, like you're not making enough revenue, maybe you're not pricing enough, maybe you're not um, selling enough, or
Right.
it's an expense issue where you're spending too much money on expenses and it's time
Hmm.
to reel it in. And typically what it is a combination of both, right?
Yeah,
That's how
yeah.
you manage your business, is by understanding what the revenues are, what your expenses are, where you should be, how you're going to be more profitable.
I
I always
love
say
that. I
there's
love that. Yeah. Go
yeah,
ahead. I'm
there's like
sorry.
three profit drivers in a business. And once you know the three profit drivers, it becomes a lot easier. And it's your sales volume, your pricing, and your expenses.
I love that. That is it's so simplified,
Yeah.
right? I
Yeah,
love
like
that you said that. It's perfect. Your volume, your prices, and what was the last one?
your expenses.
Your expenses, duh.
Yeah, no,
It
no,
slipped,
no.
it slipped my mind already. Like I'm like, my brain is fried sometimes. I'm like, wait a minute, I just
No, you're
forgot what you said.
no,
That
it's
is
all
so
good.
I love
But
that.
yeah, I
So
mean, like when you look at it just as simply as that, it's like,
yeah,
wow, okay, it doesn't need to be overcomplicated. You don't need to have the knowledge of an accountant to figure out your
right.
business, right?
Yeah.
And that's what I really want to teach people, is like, just understand the basics of how to run your business and you can create more profit.
You're so right. And I love that you said about the shiny objects because that's something I'm constantly barking it on a soapbox about because I'm an
Yeah.
old school entrepreneur. I've been in business since I'm 19. It's 38 years. And I just feel that people are being jaded. It's all
Yes.
nonsense. You need sustainability. Just a business is not like a hobby. And it's so important for people, yes, to know their numbers, to have a foundation that's going to keep them. Like, again, I wouldn't have been able to support my kids, go through a divorce, put my kids through college as a single mom if I did not have a sustainable business all these years. Like, it's shiny objects don't
Exactly.
work, fast wins don't work, right? So
Hmm.
share the name of your book because I did read your book. I have it on my nightstand. It is a powerful book and it is such a great resource for anyone who's in business. I think for anyone, even if they're not in business, it's a great book. So I'd love for you to share the name of it and where people can get it.
Yeah, thank you. So the name is Cash Confident, an entrepreneur's guide to creating a profitable business. And it's sold in on Amazon, obviously, and Barnes and Nobles and Target and a couple other places I can't remember. But basically you can get the book anywhere that you can get any other book.
Okay.
And it's really an important book to read when you're a business owner, because it helps simplify and helps you really understand what to focus on in your business. Because going back to the shiny objects and stuff,
Mm,
I mean, I feel that the online space is a very scary place for people who don't have a full understanding of how to run a business.
mhm.
And it's very normal for us not to know how to run a business, because we are going, especially, you know, you and your audience, you're
Mhm.
going into business to help women feel beautiful, right?
Yeah.
You that's what you love, that's what you're passionate about, and that's what you're focusing on. So they likely don't teach you how to run a business when you're in school learning how to do your profession.
Yeah. I think it's all professions. I mean, even the holistic
Absolutely.
practitioners, the wellness practitioners, most people that
Exactly.
start
And
a
I was just going
business,
to
they
say
have
that.
no business training.
I have a lawyer client who, when she first came to me, she was crying her head off because she was like,
Oh,
I'm a lawyer, I'm smart, but when it comes to this, I cannot figure it out. I'm like, they didn't teach you in law school how to do this. Like,
yeah.
don't be so hard on yourself. They don't teach you anywhere about how to manage your business, truly. And in the online space, especially, because it's all
Oh.
flashy and they just want to, you know, create this aura of everything being wonderful. When you're a business owner, you're going to make so much money and all this stuff.
They never talk about how hard it is and what the commitment. You're
Exactly.
right.
And how
You're
many
right.
times you have a nervous breakdown.
Yes, yep, that's so true. It's so
So
true. And
true.
the resilience you need. Well, listen,
Yeah.
thank goodness we have brilliant minds like you. You're a blessing. Your book is fantastic. I recommend anyone who's listening to this podcast, wherever you're getting this podcast, go and grab Melissa's book. It is a wealth of information that is simple to comprehend and digest. That if you implement these strategies, and I'm telling you, I've been around the block, they are brilliant strategies that you can implement and help yourself. So I think your book is a huge asset to everyone.
Thank you so much. And I would like to say I appreciate the information that you put out there too, right? I could tell like you are a true business owner who is doing a good service for others in teaching how to run a successful business. And I love what you're
Yes.
doing. So keep up the good work.
Oh, thanks, Melissa. Well, thank you so much for being here, guys. Let's give Melissa a hand. And you know what? Anything you need, you could find in the description and the show notes. And if you need to connect with her, I'll put everything in the show notes beneath this podcast. Follow her, subscribe, go check out her book and get it because I cannot recommend it enough. And Melissa, thank you so much for being with me today. I am so honored that I was able to connect with you and have you on the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. Have a great day.